Hey, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Ecosystem Aces. I'm excited this morning to be talking to Rob Spee. Rob, welcome.
Hey, thank you, Chip. Great to be here.
Yeah. Gosh, Rob, you are, an icon already.
In my own world, yeah.
Yeah. Rob has actually has, well, in addition to being a longtime, partner and ecosystem channel person, leader. Gosh, going back to early
Dark
days.
ages.
What's that?
Back to the dark
Dark
ages.
ages. Yeah. BMC and Arrow and SAS and OutSystems and a number of technology
Yeah,
organizations.
startups, everything.
Yeah, everything big and small. And in the last year and a half, you've been with BeyondTrust and leading the journey. So in addition, I also have to mention that Rob, you've had a podcast for many years as well, Channel Journeys, and
Yeah.
I think up to over 100 episodes recorded. So congratulations on that. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Chip. Still growing strong, still enjoying it.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's jump in. I'm excited to hear about your where things are right now with BeyondTrust. I know you're on a journey yourself and with the organization. So love to dive into some of that. Maybe just start with an overview of BeyondTrust. Tell us a little bit about BeyondTrust, and then I really want to get into what's happening in your sort of transformation of the organization and how you're approaching partners.
Yeah, so BeyondTrust, we are a cybersecurity company. We're focused on helping companies, organizations protect themselves against all the cybersecurity threats, and there are just more and more of those. Our particular niche is in the area of identity and access management, the PAM space. So that's where we sit. Partner ecosystem is hugely important to what we do. And I joined a year and a half ago to build out a strategy around the ecosystem. At the time, we were really more of a transactional channel, resellers and VADs, and was asked to come on board by Brent Thorell, our CRO, to build a modern partner ecosystem. So it's been a great journey so far. We're making a lot of progress and eager to share more about it.
That's exciting. That's a lot going on, I'm sure, and exciting. I think not only sort of the journey that you're on, but that was sort of how you were brought into the organization as well. So,
yeah,
one of the things that I think we all talk about and sometimes struggle with is executive alignment and executive support. So it sounds like that is clearly, you got that from your leadership to really take a firm hand in how you want to shape the ecosystem for BeyondTrust.
Yeah, I think coming into it, I did have that support, but it did take some work to really drive alignment on what that really meant. What does an ecosystem strategy mean? What are we really talking about? What do we need to do? And then getting everybody on board, not just the CRO and the CEO, but the CFO and CMO and all the other leaders across the organization. So that definitely took some work and was very important up front to map out the strategy, where we want to go over the next couple of years, build a vision of the strategy for the next couple of years, and then get that adoption and support at the executive level.
Yeah. How have you done that? And I'm sure it's a journey. There's probably still, but how have you managed to articulate that and get buy-in?
Yeah, I try to take an approach, of course, starting with the customer and what are all the customer touch points and what does it take as we transition to a SaaS company, like most companies are, either SaaS or transitioning to the SaaS world. What does that really mean to drive an excellent customer experience and customer success? And who are all the players that are involved, potential players in the partner ecosystem that would play a role in this? So that's really where it started. So I built that out, mapped out who we need to have in the ecosystem, who we have today, what we're missing, and then what would it take to bring them on board, and what are all the things we have to do to support that ecosystem within the company, and what are new roles that we need within the organization, both in my own organization, but across the company, all the different supporting roles. And then how do we execute? How do we work together? So it's been an iterative process. It was the first quarter mapping out that vision and then returning to the ELT every quarter with an update on here's the progress we're making. Here's what we need to tweak. Here's where we need to pivot, and just really staying in strong collaboration and communication with the executive team.
Yeah, so it's so you start. I think it sounds like started with putting that vision together and collaborating with the organization to kind of agree on what's the right direction, what do you want it to look like, and then keep coming back to it.
Yeah, and the biggest challenge there is just making sure that everyone understands by what we mean by the ecosystem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people. It takes many conversations to really let it sink in, because people gravitate to what they know, and what the company knew were transactional partners, resellers, VARs, VADs. And so to keep reminding them that, no, the ecosystem is so much broader. You've got the influencers, the service delivery partners, the MSPs that we can work with, the GSIs, all the different partner flavors and partner types, and what they can do beyond just driving the transaction itself, how they can influence the transaction and add additional value through service delivery, driving outcomes, expanding the account, all of that. Even marketing, how do we co-market? How do we co-innovate with our alliance partners? So I think the biggest challenge is just educating people so that they understand what we really mean and what we're trying to accomplish.
It's interesting, and you touched on it earlier, but and we talked about this as we were preparing for the session.
Yeah.
The strategy really does impact the entire organization, right? I mean, they're just all parts of the organization. Talk a little bit about that. You're just talking about marketing, the CFO, other areas, of course, certainly sales and support. How have you sort of thought through that process of how it will impact different parts of the organization and helping to sort of bring them along in this journey?
I think you're having some success when people start using your words, people in different departments. So just some examples, we kept talking about partner delivery, which amazingly we didn't have that strong of a partner delivery arm. And now it's the strategy of the company. We want to push all that delivery through partners. It's going to take a little bit of a journey to get there, but across the company, everyone's talking about partner delivery, especially and most importantly, our PS organization. So that's a huge one. From a marketing perspective, we started pushing the idea of the trifecta marketing campaign, where we're marketing together with multiple partner types, our technology alliance partners, our GSIs, our resellers, our service delivery partners, getting 3, 4, 5 parties together to do marketing events and promote that bigger vision to the customers. And so now across the company, everybody, you hear the word trifecta marketing. So they're starting to replicate the wording, the terminology that we use. And there's even a big push, and I'm not the strongest driver of it, to change our terminology from channels and partners to ecosystems, so that's, I think, when you're starting to have an impact and people are really starting to think about this across the company.
Yeah. That's exciting. It's and not easy. You've been at it. What has been the journey? So you've been with BeyondTrust now for about 1.5 years. What does that look like so far? And how far along on the journey are you?
Yeah, well, I'll borrow your maturity model, the WorkSpan maturity model, which has been really helpful for us, Chip, and for me. So in your ecosystem journey, maturity model, you start out at that pre-idea. And that's where we were when I came on board. Brent had a vision of an ecosystem. He was at the pre-idea stage, but we really had a reseller channel. That's what we had. And so there was this vision of what could we add? And we had a few ecosystem partners, a couple GSIs we were working with. We had some TAP, Technology Alliance partners that we were working with, but it wasn't integrated. It wasn't orchestrated in any way. When we thought channels, we thought transactions, VARs, resellers, VADs, that type of thing. Then last year in 22, we started that ecosystem journey. So we built out the strategy. We got the strategy alignment. Last year was still dominated by resale, but we started being able to track the other areas of interaction and influence from those other partner types. So building out the infrastructure in Salesforce just to be able to add that partner involvement and start reporting on it. So that's what we started doing last year, started putting the pieces in place, starting adding new members to the team, like partner success manager, or I added a partner success director to focus on more of the post-sales work, pre-sales technical, but mostly post-sales technical work, and making sure that partners are successful. Put new goals on the team. So we had OKRs or MBOs that were beyond just transactional. MBOs that's got the CAMs, the channel managers and channel SEs starting working and thinking in different ways. So last year was really just starting out and developing the mindset and motions and muscle and reporting around the ecosystem. This year, I think you call it the progressive stage. We're like midway in the model. And so now we are really starting much more broader focus and use on the ecosystem. So we shifted our compensation models to be ecosystem focused. We even added a sales bonus. That's an ecosystem bonus for the sales team using the full ecosystem, including GSIs, TAP partners, delivery partners, everything. We've expanded our partner program. So we've added these new partner types, and we're actually scaling back from the tiered model. Probably next year we'll remove the tiers altogether, but we've been expanding that out, shifting it to much more of that ecosystem partner program. So we're really making progress, and we're starting to see the impact of the different partner types in our deals. And now that we have better tracking, which is not easy, that's also one of the bigger challenges. We are starting to see it. And I spent a lot of time looking through the reports and checking the accuracy of reports and ensuring, are these different partners really adding value that we think they are?
Yeah. Wow, that's exciting. And it just, as you're talking, it triggers so many questions that I'm curious about, and I actually want to get back to them, but I see we have a question from the audience, and I'll just bring this up right now, since we're, just want to kind of bring folks in. So Gagan Deep says, what's the biggest challenge you face when convincing your different leadership pillars to adopt an ecosystem-led growth? We touched on a little bit on that, but I like this. What have been the challenges?
Yeah, certainly. Like I touched on, just helping them understand what we mean by ecosystem was a big challenge, and what's the broader vision. And then another challenge I was facing was people are saying, okay, this all makes sense, but where are we going with this? And that's where your maturity model was so helpful for me, because it painted this vision, and it totally aligned to what we've been doing, but also gave a vision of where are we going. So moving on to your mature and then world-class stage, I think the big shift for us and for many companies may be this shift towards much more co-innovation. So today we're co-marketing, we're co-selling, we're co-delivering. Now we need to shift to more co-innovation. And we have a lot of alliance partners. We're doing the integrations, but we've got to get more to that platform ecosystem portion of the ecosystem model, right? And driving that co-innovation. So that's really, I think, the next stage of where we're going. I think, certainly just having accurate data is so important to getting the leadership and everybody on board with what you're doing. And when your reports are inaccurate, it creates doubt and suspicion, right, of what's going on. So that's something that's a big challenge for me, is just constantly working on that. And we're doing a lot of things to continue improving the accuracy of our data and better ability to report on that ecosystem involvement. Yeah.
Reporting is critical, and being able to demonstrate. I mean, you got to always point back to data, right?
Yeah.
To as you say, build trust within the organization to say, yeah, this is actually what's happening, and it's good to see. Amazing progress that you made, and let's touch back again on a couple of things that you mentioned. I love this, idea of, first of all, you've actually introduced new roles. You've got new nomenclature, new language and ways of talking about things, and then also new goals and incentives. So it's really, in many ways, it's kind of reshaping and putting some critical things in place to kind of influence and nudge behavior.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's working, but maybe talk a little bit about that and sort of what it took to introduce some of those changes and how you're seeing that the fruits of it.
Yeah, I think to introduce them was obviously the support of the ELT, working closely with finance in putting together what the comp models would look like. That they were very supportive in putting that together, and then coming up with some bonus structures that would help align the sales team to the partner team. And so the partner team has ecosystem goals. We basically took those goals and mapped them to the reps. So every rep has an ecosystem target as well. It's a bonus target. It's not their core quota, but it's a bonus target. Reps want to make more money. So if they help us, if they help the CAM and together they hit the focus ecosystem target, which is a revenue target, but it's based on the percentage of ecosystem involvement we were aiming to get. And that varies, of course, by country, by region. But this is beyond the transactional partner participation. We've added to that. We want to keep that going and growing. We want to continue growing partner originated business, of course, but we want to have more TAP involvement, more deals that are influenced and driven by the integrations of BeyondTrust with our TAP partners like SailPoint, Ping, Tenable, Okta, all these other products and solutions that build a stronger and more sticky end solution for the customer. So there's the TAP component, there's the GSI component driving more GSI involvement and influence. There's the service delivery partner component too. So who are the partners that are out there driving business outcomes after the transaction's done? So all of those add to and contribute to that reps bonus by getting more involvement from those different partner types. And so we're looking at the numbers and looking to grow those every quarter by continuing to educate them. Now, the biggest challenge there we found was like, this is just a massive exercise in change management, right? And I probably underestimated, because to me, you know, I'm in this every day. I'm doing the podcast, talking to people, so it's just in my head. I get it, but it's a huge change for the rest of the organization. So when we rolled out the new comp plan in the first quarter, it was a massive change, not only for the sales team, but for our channel team too. And so it definitely took some extra work getting everybody not necessarily on board, but helping them understand what it really meant and what they didn't fully understand, what types of partners were included and what qualified and what didn't qualify. So, you know, we could have done a better job communicating it, but it's a challenge because we communicated, but it just takes, you got to have a lot of conversations to help people understand it. Yeah.
Gosh, this is so interesting. I love that, you know, because change management, you know, going back to my consulting days, it's like, it's tough, right? It's because it's, it's not, you have to keep communicating. It's over communication, right? So you need to keep communicating and educating on what is, and keeping the goal in mind. Which it sounds like you've been doing a great job of, but it's still, it's tough work, right?
It is. Yeah. And it's interesting because Gangadeep asked about the toughest challenge from a leadership perspective, but there's also the toughest challenge from where the rubber hits the road, down at the sales rep level. And that's what we are facing now. And, you know, rolling this out, that's the change management that we're dealing with. And one of the missing components I realized, and I'm working on it now, and this stems from a podcast that I just did with Bart Finelli about shifting our mindset of ourselves as leaders and channel partner managers from more of a control methodology to a coaching and collaboration methodology, right? Because it takes a lot of coaching to work with the ecosystem, this new model. But it all starts with a baseline. You've got to have a baseline methodology to start from that's your common language. So if working with the partner ecosystem is on the outside, the periphery of that baseline of your sales methodology, then it feels like an add-on. It's not part of the natural motion. And that's a tough sell. It's like, don't bother me. I've got the things I've got to close this deal. This isn't part of it. So what we're doing is now building in the partner ecosystem motions into our sales methodology. So that I'm working with sales enablement, and we're going to roll that out. And now we'll have that baseline for coaching. That's so important, so that our channel team, our sales reps, everybody knows okay, this is how you do it through all the motions of the sales methodology. Here are the types of
Mm-hmm.
partners I involve. Here's how I involve them. And here's how I talk to customers about the partner ecosystem.
Interesting. Wow. So are you using like a medic or sales methodology? And then you've worked with your sales enablement team to embed some of those
Yes,
ecosystem elements into the methodology.
exactly. Yeah, we use medic, we use force management. So we got to build this
Mm-hmm.
ecosystem approach, bake it straight into that methodology.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Wow. That may be worth a blog, or yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's so important.
Just yeah, really exciting. And then kind of the training and education and putting incentives in place and all that.
Yeah.
Terrific work.
Yeah. I mentioned your maturity model that put us right in the middle. Another thing I did that was fun. So Jay McBain wrote this article about 13 questions you should ask yourself and your organization to see where you are on this journey, right? So I took those 13 questions and I ranked ourselves on each one of them from a scale of 1 to 5, and then scored ourselves to see where we came out. And I ended up with a score of 49%. So that told me it totally aligned to your model that said I'm right in the middle of the journey.
Well, you're getting there.
Yeah. And it helped too, because now I've got 13 additional things to look at of where we can improve based on those questions that Jay put forward.
Yeah.
So now I have 2 models to work with to help me see what else we need to do.
That's fantastic. That's well, and Jay, I saw last night said that before this podcast is out, we need to talk about sailing.
Yeah, I think we all share a love for sailing, the 3 of us.
Yes, yeah, we do. So let's talk a little bit about you mentioned, and it's interesting. We also have been on a journey as well, and I think we think of the sort of flywheel of building co-creation and then co-marketing, co-selling, and then funding, kind of putting money back into the business. But what we've sort of come to over the last maybe the last year is that it's really all about, like, it's the umbrella is co-selling. It's all about co-selling, because ultimately that's where the where the rubber meets the road. Mm-hmm. And but I love that you're now sort of thinking about, you're moving your way back to deeper into the origin of co-selling, which is co-creation and co-building solutions. Tell me a little bit about where you are with that. And I know it's a journey, but how do you see that coming together and growing, and what kind of steps are you taking with partners to do that?
Yeah, well, there are 2 elements. There's the partner element, but there's also the product element to this.
Right.
This is where we have to bring the product team into this and have them be part of the conversation and look at the product direction. And does the product direction support the ecosystem approach from a platform perspective, from APIs and integration points, from multi-tenancy for MSPs, all of those different things. So we're working very closely with the product team. We're launching this year a new product, Identity Insights, which basically takes data from all of our different products, as well as other products, other tools, to present them to the customer and help pinpoint and not just identify security threats, but also offer remedies for those. And AI analytics will all come into play here. This is a huge opportunity for partners for innovation. So we gave a sneak peek to this at our kickoff to some of our partners. We're at Go Beyond in May. That's our big partner and customer event. So there's going to be a lot of talk about that. It'll go GA later this year. So that's, I think, for me, the first stepping stone for really, strong collaboration and co-innovation with partners. And I've got partners already that are looking at this and how they can bake it into their managed services offering, for example. But then when you can take data from other systems, from maybe it's your ServiceNow system, your SailPoint system, your Ping system, whatever it might be, now you got a lot more data in there. And then our recommendations can even get more rich for the customers. So that's a really big piece of it. From the partner, I think we've got the partners in place, and we'll keep adding them who can co-innovate with us. And that will probably expand as our product strategy continues evolving.
So interesting. Then when you talk about from a product standpoint, you're talking, it sounds like a couple of different dimensions. One is aligning your own product roadmap with where you think partners can play, right?
Yes.
But then also the technical infrastructure, APIs and those kinds of things, in order to be able to be partner friendly to enable those kinds of things.
Right.
Maybe talk a little bit about those elements.
Yeah, well, those are super important. And what it requires too is getting our product team very close to our partners. And so they're having a lot of conversations with our partners at these events that we go to, as well as, just setting up meetings outside of that and presenting our roadmap. So we've been doing roadmap presentations to our most strategic partners who have this co-innovation capability. And they can start, baking this into their roadmaps as well, into their product plans. So you start building out, I think, an ecosystem roadmap, not just our products, but what are their products going to look like, right?
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
this is so exciting.
It is very exciting. Yeah. And that's what makes this so much fun, is just, so many new things that we can do.
It's terrific. And you're getting the organization behind it, and what a tremendous success story this is. Well, I know you're not there yet. You're on the road.
Yeah. We just got to stay the course, continue to have that alignment, continue being ready to pivot as needed. Conditions change, whatever changes, just be able to pivot where you need to, but also know where to stay the course and not get gun shy. If you have I think things are going to, you're going to have a great quarter with the GSIs, and the next quarter, you're going to have a great quarter with the alliance partners. A big deal can really push one or the other over the line, but just really keeping the team focused and staying the course, I think, is so important. And constant communication, right? Like we talked about in that change management.
Yeah. Well, Rob, this has been fantastic. I like to ask sort of a closing question, which is, and I know you have a ton of ideas to choose from, but is there any sort of piece of advice or thing that you've learned along the way in your career that you would want to share with other partner leaders that you found valuable, or that you would want to share?
Well, I think the biggest lesson I've learned as a leader is to try to be humble and realize that there are smarter people in the room, and that's a good thing, right? And that's a challenge for me. I'm very independent, and I've got to remember, this is such a team sport across the company, right? And really, really driving that and being a good team player. Everyone has to be working across the company. And we have a motto at BeyondTrust is really assuming the best intentions, right? And that's so important for everybody, because everyone's trying to figure this out. Everybody wants the company to grow. So how do we do this together?
Yeah, that's great advice. And and within the company and with partners as well. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
We haven't even touched much on the partner side. That's a whole nother thing that we're working on.
Well, this is fantastic, Rob. So let's talk. I want to answer Jay's question about sailing. Have you had any recent trips that you've really enjoyed, or anything coming up?
Yeah. So I've done some podcasts on these about my ocean sailing. I love blue water sailing, but I've gotten back into Caribbean sailing and on a catamaran. So this is new for me, the catamaran sailing. Did a trip in October with a couple buddies. We loved it. It was so much fun. Taking my family in 2 weeks on a catamaran. Nice. And then I've got another guy's trip planned for October, and I'm getting my captain's license. So I'm just starting that journey. It's called a 6-pack license. That is the entry level captain's license, because I actually want to do more of these, and I want to bring others along.
Yeah.
That'll be a different channel journey to go sailing together.
That's fantastic. So where are you going with your family?
We're going back to the British Virgin Islands.
Yeah, so, that's beautiful down there.
Yeah. And that's where I did my honeymoon. I've taken the kids there before, and it's just such a fun, relaxing, beautiful place to go.
Yeah, it's so nice because it's very first of all, the weather's always just
Yeah.
beautiful. It's like 80, 80, 85, and there's like trade winds of 10 to 20 knots, sort of consistently coming out
Yeah.
of the southeast, and there's so many little coves everywhere. You can sail from one island to the next, and you can see, like, nobody has
Yeah.
to freak out. Like, like you're not
That
in
keeps that
in
keeps the spouses happy when they can see
that's
land.
right. Not in the middle of the blue ocean. So,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
well, that's exciting. Looking forward to hearing how that trip goes. And
Yeah.
Rob, thank you so much for sharing this incredible journey that you're on with BeyondTrust, and it's really exciting, the progress that you've made, and want to hear as you continue on the journey, the results, and how it's shaping up.
Yeah, I guess a final comment, just a big thanks, because I couldn't do this without the fantastic team that I have at BeyondTrust. And it's the Channel Alliance team, it's the whole broader team. We're all working together on this. And then it's even the expanded team, Chip, you guys, all the expanded ecosystem that we have, and all the folks that I chat with. Everybody's so eager and willing to share their stories. That's what's so fantastic.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. And actually, Gagan just chimed in, said thank you.
Great.
Murph challenge.
Okay. The Murph challenge. Yeah, that's coming up.
That's fantastic. So, gosh, Rob, thank you again, and really appreciate your time today and sharing all of these great ideas and the work that you've been doing at BeyondTrust. Fantastic. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I enjoyed the opportunity to share.
Yeah. And I think with that, I'll say thank you all for joining us for another episode of Ecosystem Aces, and we will see you next time. I think in next week, actually. Got another podcast coming up. So
awesome.
Thanks everybody for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Rob.